All right, so you wanted to know if The Old Man and the Sea is like, actually a masterpiece.
Oh, absolutely.
Does it still hold up?
Right.
We dove into all the critical stuff, and oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Deeper than the ocean Santiago was sailing on? Let me tell you.
What's so interesting about this book is it's, deceptively simple.
Right.
You think, oh, Cuban fisherman, big fish, but it's like the ocean.
Yeah.
All these currents and depths,
Symbolism.
Symbolism, exactly.
So, okay, for anyone who hasn't cracked this book open since high school, Santiago, he's our guy, right? And he is in a major slump.
Yeah.
84 days.
84 days. Yeah, that number, that's important.
Without a catch.
It's not just about fishing. It's about limits, human limits, right?
Exactly.
Hemingway was obsessed with that.
Yeah.
Grace under pressure, all that.
It's like that old saying, a man can be destroyed but not defeated, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's not just bad luck for Santiago. It's a test, right?
Right.
And then we have Manolin. Oh, Manolin.
The apprentice, almost like a son. He has to go work on a different boat.
A luckier boat.
A luckier boat, but he's so loyal to Santiago.
Yeah, that human connection, right?
Yeah, you need that in this huge,
vastness.
vast ocean. It's scary.
Yeah.
So Santiago, he's got to break this streak, so he heads out alone, far out into the Gulf Stream, and wouldn't you know it,
Oh, yeah.
he hooks this marlin bigger than anything he's ever seen.
Here's where the story,
yeah.
it goes from just fishing to
epic.
Hemingway puts you right on that boat.
You feel it.
The sun, the salt, everything.
3 days they battle.
Oh, it's brutal.
Brutal.
But there's this,
Respect.
respect between them, yeah.
It's like, I don't know, man and nature, one-on-one.
Exactly, and that's where the symbolism...
There it is.
It starts to come, when Santiago says, man is not made for defeat, that whole quote.
Yeah.
Hemingway's connecting the marlin's struggle to the human spirit.
He's saying...
That fish represents something bigger.
Yeah.
The goal, the striving, never giving up.
And of course, we can't forget the ending.
The
Sharks.
The sharks.
They come in, they devour everything.
Santiago's left with
A scalp victory and defeat,
It's brutal, but it makes you think, right?
Right. It's Hemingway's point.
Sometimes it's the trying that matters.
The striving.
Not always the winning.
Exactly.
But before we get too deep into the,
the heavy stuff.
Symbolism, all that, we got to talk about where this story came from.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hemingway got the idea way back in the 30s. Can you believe that?
A Cuban fishing guide told him this story.
Really?
And it stuck with him.
Wow.
For years. Until he finally wrote it.
And get this, he wrote the whole thing in like 6 weeks.
Super fast.
1,000 words a day.
Like it just poured out of him.
Maybe it did,
Yeah.
He was going through a lot back then.
Personal stuff.
Yeah.
Criticism, relationships. Maybe writing this book was like an escape for him.
Connecting with nature.
Finding that strength again.
Yeah, something like that.
And the world loved it.
Oh, yeah.
Life magazine, the whole story in one issue.
Instant bestseller.
Translations everywhere.
Huge success.
A phenomenon.
Phenomenon, yeah.
So everyone loved it at first, right?
Oh, yeah.
Critics loved the writing, the symbols, all that.
Santiago's struggle, everyone relates to that.
But over time...
It's gotten a little...
Murky.
Yeah, like the ocean.
Some critics say it's too simple,
Compared to his other books, yeah.
So is it all just hype?
No.
Has it faded?
It still sparks debate.
That's got to mean something, right?
That's what great literature does.
Make you think.
It doesn't give you all the answers.
You have to find your own truth.
Exactly.
And there are so many layers to uncover.
Oh, yeah.
Like some people see it as a Christian allegory, right?
With the characters representing deeper ideas.
Santiago was Christ.
The marlin.
Yeah. The burden of sin.
The sharks.
Evil. Yeah.
But that's just one way to look at it, right?
One lens. Yeah.
Other critics, they focus on those classic themes, like man versus nature.
Yeah.
The struggle, the nobility of it all.
Timeless stuff,
It speaks to everyone.
Cross cultures, across time.
But then there are the more modern takes.
Oh, yeah, the modern ones.
The ones that question things, like the gender roles.
Gender roles.
Environmentalism, yeah.
Even Santiago himself.
His flaws, right.
It's crazy how one book...
I know, right?
...can spark so many different ideas.
It's like a prism, right.
Each generation sees something different.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so great to study.
Especially for literature students.
Symbolism, characters, themes, it's all there.
And it's short,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can really dig in.
Without drowning in it.
Exactly.
So if you're tackling The Old Man and the Sea for the first time...
Or even coming back to it.
There are some things to keep in mind.
Oh, yeah, like what? Well, first, Pay attention to the setting,
The ocean.
that vastness, the little boat.
Grand, but vulnerable.
Right. It makes you think about man's place in the universe.
How small we are.
But Santiago still chooses to fight.
That's the thing.
And that brings us to
Santiago and the
a
marlin.
relationship.
Oh, that's where the symbolism gets really juicy. It's like the marlin represents Santiago himself, you know?
Yeah, his strength, his will,
That never give up attitude.
like a mirror, right? Showing us his inner struggle.
Exactly. But it could also be like the unattainable dream.
The thing we chase, even though we might never reach it.
Yeah, and that connects back to the whole Christian allegory thing.
The marlin is Christ, all that suffering.
For something that gets taken away in the end.
And speaking of taken away, we got to talk about the sharks.
Oh, the sharks, yeah.
Not just some random bad guys, right?
No, they mean something.
I always saw them as like fate, you know?
Yeah, or just the randomness of life.
They take it all away from Santiago.
All that work, just a skeleton left.
Brutal reminder that even when you win, you can still lose.
It's tragic, but it also makes you think about perseverance.
Because even though he loses the marlin, Santiago keeps going. He doesn't give up.
He's defeated, but not broken.
Exactly. Like we were saying before, Hemingway loves that idea.
The human spirit enduring all that.
It's almost like the struggle itself is what matters.
More than the outcome.
And the
yeah.
way he writes it, you know,
Oh, it's style.
those short sentences, the imagery,
You're right there with him.
smelling the salt, feeling the sun,
It's powerful.
and he doesn't waste a word.
Every sentence counts.
It lets you, the reader, fill in the blanks,
Find your own meaning.
which is super important when you're studying this book, right?
Oh, yeah. Especially for literature students.
It's not about being told what to think,
It's about thinking for yourself.
wrestling with the ideas, figuring it out.
And that's where all the different interpretations come in.
Not just what Hemingway meant, but,
What it means to everyone else.
right, like we talked about the Christian thing, the classic themes.
But there's more.
Oh, yeah, the modern stuff gets even more interesting.
Like the ecofeminist perspective.
Eco-feminist, what's that?
It's a way of looking at how men interact with nature, try to control it.
And in this book, the sea is like,
The feminine force.
makes you rethink Santiago and the marlin, huh?
Is he respecting it or dominating it?
Big questions about gender roles.
And our impact on the environment.
Super relevant today
Yeah.
with climate change and everything.
It's like the book keeps speaking to us, you know?
Even after all these years,
Different meetings for different times.
like that prism thing again.
Yeah, reflecting back our own ideas.
So it's a great book to study.
Oh, definitely.
So much to talk about.
Symbolism, characters, themes.
Even bigger issues like society, the environment.
Yeah.
But even with all that analysis,
The deep stuff.
at its heart, this is a story about being human.
Yeah.
The struggle, trying to find meaning in a tough world.
It gets to you, no matter who you are.
That's why people still love it.
All over the world, all these years later.
It's universal, you know.
It is.
It reminds us that even when we lose, we can still,
Endure.
endure.
That's powerful and hopeful.
So we've covered a lot about The Old Man and the Sea.
A lot of ground, yeah.
All those themes, the symbolism, why people love it,
The different ways to see it.
all those debates.
Right.
But now I want to ask you, the listener, something.
Ooh, I like questions.
Is Santiago a hero
Mm-hmm.
or a cautionary tale?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, like, is he someone to admire
Mm-hmm.
or is he showing us what not to do?
It's tricky, right?
Yeah, because we've been talking about all these heroic things he does.
His courage, never giving up.
He faces impossible odds,
That classic Hemingway hero, you know?
standing up to life's challenges.
Yeah, finding meaning in the struggle.
But then there's the other side of him.
The darker side, yeah.
Some critics say he's not so great.
Like the environmental stuff, right?
Yeah, did he hurt the ocean by going after that huge marlin?
Maybe. And then there's Madeline.
That's a tough one.
Is Santiago using him?
It makes you wonder what Hemingway was thinking, you know?
Was he trying to be ambiguous on purpose?
Or did he just want to show that people are complicated?
That even heroes have flaws.
It's not black and white, right?
Exactly. That's what makes this book so interesting.
It makes you think.
There are no easy answers.
You have to figure it out for yourself.
Just like life.
So what do you think, listener?
Yeah, what's your take?
After everything we've talked about,
The symbolism, the different interpretations,
is Santiago a hero?
or a warning.
Or maybe, like you said before, a little bit of both.
Yeah, a flawed hero.
He shows us the good and the bad.
The ups and downs of being human.
Maybe that's the real message of the book.
Life is messy.
There's good and bad, wins and losses.
And we have to figure out how to deal with it all.
Find our own way.
Exactly.
It's a message that still matters today.
Even after all these years.
So we encourage you to read The Old Man and the Sea.
Dive into it.
Think about it.
Really wrestle with those ideas.
Figure out what it means to you.
Because that's the most important thing.
What does this story mean to you?
Your own interpretation.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been fun.
We hope you enjoyed exploring The Old Man and the Sea.
Yeah, it's a great book.
Keep thinking about it. Keep talking about it.
Share your thoughts with other people.
Because the conversation never really ends, right?
It keeps going with every new reader.
Every new generation finds something different.
That's the power of a great book.
Thanks for listening.